frozen up in the clouds, but I've always felt that something's missing. That was until I found you right there in the crowd. You came into my life and started a fire. You made me feel like I could touch the sky. Oh, there's nothing missing now that you're my desire. Now all I have to do is to make you mine. 'Cause I know, and you know what we could be. Like a song, like a perfect melody. Baby, don't say you don't believe in me, 'cause you know, and I know, we're onto something good. You know, and I know, we got something good. I've been waiting for the one forever. Finally I got you, baby, here in my heart. When I'm with you I feel so much better, oh yeah. Before you I was just a shell, so stuck in the dark. You came into my life and started a fire. You made me feel like I could touch the sky. Oh, there's nothing missing now that you're my desire. Now all I have to do is to make you mine. 'Cause I know, and you know what we could be. Like a song, like a perfect melody. Baby, don't say you don't believe in me, 'cause you know, and I know, we're onto something good. You know, and I know, we got something good. Follow your heart, baby, don't be shy. Just follow yours and I'll follow mine. 'Cause I know, and you know what we could be. Like a song, like a perfect melody. Baby, don't say you don't believe in me, 'cause you know, and I know, we're onto something good. You know, and I know, we got something good. Something good. Something good. Life goes up and it goes down. I know my mom taught me that. I figured why we fool around so little, and we keep track of time, being so serious. Idiots thinking it will matter, keep me company downtown before the clock runs out. Sun is shining, but the rain is welcome too. Friends are nearby, don't need another view. Time is not on my mind, but then it's you. Oh, I love it when the love comes around, and then I remember all things must pass. But I'm not gonna wake up, wake up. I'm not ready, let me have another day. Don't wake up, wake up. Keep it steady, 'cause I'm happy, I'm not gonna wake up. No, not yet, whoa. No, not yet, whoa. No, not yet, whoa. I'm afraid I'll end up nowhere. They keep saying I'll be fine, but how you know that I'll be there when it feels like I'm lying every time someone asks how it goes, and I save the details that actually mean something. Sun is shining, but the rain is welcome too. Friends are nearby, don't need another view. Time is not on my mind, but then it's you. Oh, I love it when the love comes around, and then I remember all things must pass.
Okay, everybody. It's about that time. Oh, what? What am I doing here? For some reason, the music started up again. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully, you guys are ready for some fun. Let me change camera views. Hold on one second here. Like giving myself technical difficulties. All right, hello. How's everybody doing this evening? Welcome, everyone, for episode 13 of Beyond the Doll. As always, I am your host, Shizusan, and my lovely assistant that I brought with me today is my very beautiful Chitose. As you guys all know, I usually bring her around a lot. She's like one of my favorites. So today's episode is going to be a special one. We have a very special guest that's going to talk to us about all different kinds of things regarding the doll hobby today. So we're going to touch upon like clothing, face ups, different kinds of shows that we like, touch a little bit upon like what it's like to be doll YouTubers and stuff, because my guest is also a fellow doll YouTuber. So without further ado, my very lovely guest for today's episode is going to be Diana the Doll Fairy. So let's give a big warm welcome to Diana while we switch over and put her on screen. Hold on one second. There we go. Hello.
Hello.
How are you
Hi,
doing today?
everybody. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good? I'm doing good. I hope you're all energized and ready for today's episode because we
Ready to
got
go.
we got a lot to talk about. So before we get started, let me just acknowledge everyone that seems to be here on stream. So Alex Vet, welcome to the stream. Thank you for coming. Sil MK, thank you for coming. Yes, you did make it, Sil. You're on time. White Rose is here. What's up? Hope you're ready for White Rose for some good Dolly conversations. Dia is here. Linda I don't know how to say that properly. Hengevald. I'm sorry if I totally butchered that, but welcome. And Dia, so excited to bring my male smart doll to his first convention in 2 weeks. What convention would that be? Are you going to Anime NYC by chance? Because I will be there. Maybe we can say hi to each other. Linda says, I'm watching it live today. Oh, well, welcome if you're watching it live. Maybe you've been catching all the VODs at a later date, but welcome, welcome. Like I said before, we have the very lovely Diana the Doll Fairy here as our guest. And for those of you that don't know, Diana has her own YouTube channel where she does a whole bunch of things on there, and I will let her explain that herself. So, for those of you that are not familiar with her content, take it away, Diana.
So, my name is Diana, and I go by the Doll Fairy. That's the name of my channel. And for about 5 years now, I have been customizing dolls and making videos about it on my channel. I started doing a lot of like Monster High and Ever After High custom dolls. And then I ventured into the vinyl doll world with I have a mini Delphi Dream, and then I really fell down the rabbit hole with smart dolls, and that became quite an obsession for me. So yeah, and I love customizing them. Probably more so than collecting is just coming up with my own designs. I
Hmm.
just really have an obsession with that. So
Yeah, I noticed that with your channels. That let me put Chitose off to the side. What I noticed that about your channel is that you do definitely do a lot of customization, and I think that's so cool, especially for someone like me that I personally don't know how to customize things. So I love watching other doll YouTubers doing their customizations and seeing what kind of things that they can come up with. Um, but today is not actually the first day you and I met. We actually met
no,
previously. The first time we met was Anime NYC. I think it was 2017. It was like the very first Anime NYC, I believe. Right?
that might have been 2018. I think I
Was
went
it
twice.
2018?
So I think I
Oh
went
yeah, yeah.
2018,
It
2019.
might have been
Yeah. So I
2018.
think I met you 2018.
And it's just funny because I actually have a picture I want to share with everybody. That was the two of us.
There we are.
I think this actual picture was in 2019 when we met. I think that was like the newest one. Uh and not because I think the first time we met in 2018, I don't think we actually took a picture that day.
You might not have. I think It was my first time being at a convention like that. I
Hmm.
was probably a little more shy about it or whatever, but
Hmm.
this time I was prepared. I was cosplaying as Mirai,
I
and
know, that was awesome.
I brought my Mirai, and she was cosplaying as the doll fairy.
I know,
So
I couldn't get it. I didn't get it in this picture when we took a selfie with each other. I totally got her cut off. Her head got cut off there. But that definitely was fun. You came in dressed up as Mirai and hung out at the Smart Doll booth. I thought that was really cool.
it was a lot of fun.
So, what one thing that I like to ask a lot of my guests is when they come on is because, either some individuals that are watching this live or watching this at a later date, they may already know your content and who you are, or they may not. So I kind of like doing like a little get to know you thing, which is like your origin story on how you, got into the doll hobby. So if you could tell everybody, kind of what got you started in the doll hobby, basically from, I don't know, I guess the very beginning, but we don't have to go like too much in detail, but like to where you ended up nowadays.
Yeah, so what first inspired me to get into doll customization was my obsession with limited edition Disney dolls,
Hmm.
which just really started with Frozen. When Frozen came out, I mean, I had always loved dolls. I'd collected dolls. I think when Tangled came out, I was like, I'm an adult. I have money. I'm gonna buy the dolls. No one can tell me I can't. um,
Right.
but when Frozen came out, I was like just really
Hmm.
obsessed with the characters and everything. And I bought a lot of the dolls. And that was when I first saw that they had these limited edition, like the 17-inch limited edition dolls that were more expensive. And at first I was like, oh, these are too expensive. But then I really got into them.
Hmm.
And I missed out on the original like Snow Queen Elsa doll that came out. And I eventually I wanted to then create my own basically. Um, and I kind of had this inspiration. I also really liked the design of Anna and Elsa's parents. And I created custom dolls of the parents that I made
Hmm.
out of like an Elsa doll and like a Flynn Rider doll or something like that. And this was before I knew how to do like face ups or rerouting. I was just like scouring the internet for how can I do this? Like, what's the easiest
Hmm.
way that I can do this? Um, and every time there was a new thing I wanted to try out with doll customizing, it was like, oh, that's too hard. I don't want to do that. Like rerouting, that's crazy. That's so much work. I'm not going to do that.
It sounds difficult.
But then it's like my perspective changed as I saw more and more videos of people doing it. I was like, this is cool. Like I want to try it.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it started with my desire to have dolls that didn't already exist. So I was like, okay, what's the easiest way that I can do it? And then it kind of morphed into, I really like this. This is cool. This is fun. It's very satisfying.
Hmm.
So what other dolls can I make? Um, and then sometimes if a doll would come out and I didn't really love the design, like a limited edition doll, I would be like, how would I do it instead? And then I, was inspired to make my own. Um, so yeah, and then I started to see like at first when I was really into it, there were not a lot of people on YouTube doing this. There were like a
Hmm.
few big channels.
Hmm.
Um, and then the popularity really kind of exploded with I guess when Dollightful started making the videos. I remember watching Hextian's videos a long
Hmm.
time ago.
Oh wow,
Um,
we're going back in the closet for YouTube doll doll people.
um, so I really enjoyed watching those videos and I learned
Hmm.
a lot of techniques from them. And that was when I kind of went into customizing like Monster High and Ever After High, like I saw these creators doing.
Hmm.
And I also at the time I wasn't really on social media too much. I had like a Tumblr account that I was on all the time, and that's where I
Hmm.
would post things. And then um I started posting on Instagram a little, and then I was like, I like to make videos because when I was a kid, I used to like to make like little movies with my brothers and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So like I think I could make a video out of this. So that's how I started making videos of it. And then from there, it was just kind of like, you know, deep dive into continuing to do this.
How did you make that? I guess that progression step from doing limited edition Disney dolls and stuff like that to moving on to the much larger vinyl dolls for, Dolphy Dream and Smart Doll. Because the even the limited edition Disney princess dolls, they're still very expensive to buy, versus like a regular, I guess you could say, Barbie or Disney doll. But then making that jump from that expense to even the bigger expenses for the 1/3 scale dolls, like how was that for you?
It was very gradual
Hmm.
because like I mentioned before, my initial reaction to expensive dolls was like, oh, that's too expensive. I'm not
Right.
going to buy that. But then it was just over time, as I guess I got involved in the communities surrounding
Hmm.
doll collecting and doll customization, that gradually I started to think like, well, but I really want it. Maybe I could save up or whatever. So I guess it kind of progressed from like once I knew that I could customize dolls, and it was something that I was building up my skills with like Monster High and Ever After High dolls.
Hmm.
um I guess that's when I kind of was like, it took me a while to take the plunge into getting the more expensive like vinyl BJDs,
Hmm.
um because they're so expensive.
Right.
But I guess I had built up enough confidence from customizing less expensive dolls that I was like, I'm gonna try it. I think I
Hmm.
could do it. So the first one I got was a mini doll featuring. And I did her face up, and I was actually really happy with how it turned out. I was like, oh, this I like this. This is nice. And um and then with smart dolls, um, I had really admired them for a long time as well. And I again, same kind of thing, like, oh, but if I start collecting these, like collecting
Hmm.
more of them, like my first intention was I'm just gonna get one, like I'll just get the mini Dolphy
Oh
Dream,
man, the
and
thing
then I'll
that
make
we all
lots of
tell
clothes.
ourselves.
Yeah. I'll just get the one, she's not too tall, she's a little smaller, and I'll just
Right.
make her clothes and I'll be happy with that.
Hmm.
But that's not how it goes
Yeah, I said
when
the
you're in
same
this
thing.
community.
When I first started getting into the hobby, I was like, this is so expensive. I can only afford one. So if I do this, I got to make sure it's the one I really want because it's the only one I'm ever going to have.
Mhm.
And then you buy the one and then it's I don't know, you just like fall down this rabbit hole and now there's like, oh my god, there's this one and then there's this one. And then like I don't know about you, but I start losing myself where I'm like, I need them all. And I think that's
Yeah,
more the
it's
collector in me coming out than anything, I guess.
mhm. Yeah, it's hard to tell yourself like, no, I don't need that, because
Mhm.
you know it really depends too, because sometimes if a new doll comes out and you see it, like sometimes there are a lot of dolls that like, oh, I really like that one's
Mhm.
really pretty, but then there are the ones that are like, oh, I really love that
Right.
one. Need
Right.
that one.
But see, my problem
So,
is I have that feeling about almost all of them.
oh no.
It's terrible. Like I'm going on, I think I'm at like 26 now, and and
Wow.
and it sounds like a lot, and don't get me wrong, it is a lot, but then like I see other people's collections that they post like on Facebook or something, and they're like at like $60 or $50. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not that high up there, but my goal is not to
Yeah.
be up there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, there's also the very real constraint of space too.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and I've been thinking about also how like when you have a lot, it gets difficult to like, I don't know, take care of them all, I guess, like have them
Mm.
all in nice outfits, all looking good, or all
Hmm.
somewhere that you can actually see them versus, tucked away somewhere.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the
so I
problem.
try to
Yeah.
stay
That's definitely a
balanced
problem.
by remembering that.
That's definitely a problem because all my girls, and before they used to be in like the glass cases where you can see them in like twos, like pairs of twos, where they had lots of space where they can like, do poses and like look really nice in their outfits. But now I don't have any space where two dolls used to sit, now there's like five or six, like all scrunched in. So you can't even really enjoy their outfits because they're all pushed and smushed against each other just to fit in the case. And it's like, I
Mhm.
think this is where I'm starting to realize I think I have a problem because I got nowhere to put them and I keep buying them. I think this might be an actual issue. But
Yeah, I
getting
know.
back to what you said earlier, which really I thought was interesting, is how you said when you first started getting dolls, first started doing face ups and customizations, and then you wanted to share it, and you started diving into social media. And the funny thing is, I feel the same way. Like until the dolls came around, I had no social media footprint. Like I had a Facebook page, but that was just for family, like really just to keep in touch with family and friends, from school or whatever. But I didn't really use it for anything other than that. And then and then when Dolphy Dreams came along, I started seeing other people making Instagram posts or Twitter posts, and I really enjoyed that, but I was still too scared to take my own pictures and post them. And then what happened was when
Mhm.
Danny Chu came around with his smart dolls, he had this thing in the very beginning. When he started, he was like, "Oh, when you get your doll, take a picture of your doll and post it on Twitter with hashtag smart doll or whatever." And then he might, if he sees it, he might put it in his little collage that he has. Like, cause he used to have this big collage. I don't know if he still has it, but he used to have this big collage of all the doll owners, like a picture of the owner and their doll. And I remember that was the first time I opened a social media account because I didn't have one till then. I opened up a Twitter and I put it on Twitter, and then like I kind of got hooked after that of taking pictures of my dolls and then putting on Twitter. And then I'm like, oh well, people put it on Instagram too. I was like, then I ended up making an Instagram account and putting it on both. So I was in that sense, I was the same as you. Like I didn't really have social media until the dolls came around, really.
That's something I feel like is relatable to a lot of people, and that I think is really cool about doll collecting and customizing and
Hmm.
everything, is that it's like a medium really for art and for people to express themselves and things like that. And I think that's really cool how that's what inspired you to, like, kind of put yourself out there
Hmm.
into the world and everything. And yeah, I find that very relatable.
Yeah, and that was before when I did that first posting. That was before I even started the YouTube channel. So I didn't even
Hmm.
have that channel yet, at that time. So that was really like my first foray into the social media sphere because I had no
Hmm.
interest in it, before. Not even just to I didn't really have much of an interest to even browse social media at the time
Oh,
until like
really?
until I got into the dolls. So it was just my first foray into that.
Hmm.
But yeah, so you said also, talking about social media, and then you started taking pictures, and then you got into YouTube. So you said you were posting videos of your face ups on YouTube and sharing them, your customization works. When did it actually come to the point where you're like, oh, I'm doing it and just posting it for fun, to transition to where like I this can actually go somewhere. I'm gonna keep doing it and make something out of it. Like how did that come out to be?
That's a good question. So basically it started out with, let me see how this goes. How, I didn't know how difficult it might be to like actually get views or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just, did a few videos, and then I got really lucky. Like my channel kind of took off pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I did a Halloween doll. I did a doll that was based on a Pokemon for Halloween, a ghost Pokemon, Chandelure.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I guess that video just, it was around Halloween time. Like other doll customizers who already had established channels were also posting Halloween doll videos. So
Mm-hmm.
my video was starting to get recommended, like when people were watching their videos. Um, and I guess that's what made it like people were clicking on it, people were watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a pretty fast, it's not like it went viral or something, but in the small sphere of like doll customizing, like it was
Mm-hmm.
almost viral and whatever, in the sense that to me it was like, oh, all of a sudden this is getting thousands of views. And like
Mm-hmm.
I kept getting comments. I had notifications on my phone at that time. I was teaching at the time. I used to be an English teacher. So I was teaching at the time, and I would like look at my like just check my phone between classes, and I'd have like all these notifications of people who had commented on my video, like, within a couple of hours. And I was like, oh my gosh, people are actually watching this. Like I got
Mm-hmm.
really excited about it. Um and then Delightful like liked my Instagram post or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, which was like, oh my gosh, my hero has
Right.
noticed me. Um, and then shortly after that, she invited me and Doll Motion to do a collaboration where we made Pokemon dolls.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a really, a big deal that really, again, like
Mm-hmm.
elevated my subscriber count or whatever. It got a lot more views than it would have, if it weren't for the collaboration and the
Right.
association with artists who were already more established than me. Um, and so it was pretty cool. It wasn't like I didn't need to, I guess, wait a long time for my channel to start growing. So that was very
Mm-hmm.
encouraging in the beginning. Um, and so I mentioned that I was a teacher at the time, and I guess as like a couple, let's see, how much time was that? Maybe like a year into doing it, where like I was really enjoying it. It was like I was really passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a lot of videos of people talking about how they like quit their day job and became an artist. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
People who like, started an Etsy shop or, whatever. And that was like the first time I started to think like, I really love doing
Mm-hmm.
art. And I started to think maybe I could really do this as, like this is the best time in the history of the world to like be an artist, I think, because of social media and
Right.
everything. So it was like, yeah, maybe I could really, make something out of this. So
Right. You actually came in at the right time, so to speak. I mean, now is a good time, but you came in like right at the right time because in like the from 2010 onwards, I think is like the big growth where YouTube, the company itself, or Google, and then the content creators that were putting out videos realized that they could make money off of this. Like from
mhm.
AdSense, and then Patreon came around, and like all these different things. There things that we know exist now, and a lot of people are aware of them. But when you started your channel, when I started my channel, and a lot of other people in the early teens, that all that stuff was new. It was like new
Mhm.
territory, and nobody knew if it was going to take off or if it was going to last. But everybody kind of, I guess, jumped in on it at the same time, and it was like, let's see where this goes. And and for a lot of individuals, it did really well for them, and apparently it did pretty well for you.
Yeah, I do think that um because I guess I don't know too much about the trends of, analytics and how things are going
Hmm.
for like every type of creator, but I
Hmm.
guess I am pretty familiar with like the doll customizing
Hmm.
niche of YouTube or whatever.
Right.
And yeah, I do think that when I started was a good time to start because there were not as many people
Hmm.
doing that at that time.
Right.
Um, and now I think if you were to start a channel, which if you're thinking about it, I do encourage it because I think it's a lot of fun and it's a good thing to do just to be creative. Um, I do think that it might be harder in some respects just because of various things like, I guess saturation in like how many people are
Hmm.
making these types of videos, but also because YouTube has changed and I wouldn't be able to explain how because I don't understand these things like their
Yeah.
algorithms and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
things have
That's true.
changed.
The thing is that I also feel, and I totally agree with you that, I also started, around the same time that you started. I think you started a little bit before me, but when I started, there weren't many channels that were catering to what I was looking for, which
Mm-hmm.
was anime related dolls. I mean, they
Right.
existed, but I couldn't find that many channels. Like some of the channels that I really liked was like individuals like Arcangeli, that had like Dolphy
Mm-hmm.
Dream stuff. I used to watch her things, and like a couple other random YouTubers that just did unboxings, but then that was it. It was just like one video, and then they didn't do anymore. Uh,
Right.
Other people like RJ Dolls I used to watch because they used to have like nice
Mm-hmm.
musical scores to their unboxing videos, and that's how I kind of
Yeah.
got the idea for my first unboxing video. Was just like those typical videos where you unbox something and all you can see is the person's hands. Like my face
Yeah.
wasn't in it, I wasn't talking, and there's just music in the background. And that
Mm-hmm.
video, it's kind of like the same thing as you. I posted it, and then like it started taking off like crazy. I started getting all these notifications like so and so like this, so and so shared this, so and so like this, and then like a bunch of comments like, "Oh, that's beautiful. Where did you get it?" And like you said, this was the time where there weren't many doll YouTubers. There were some, but there wasn't a lot. And one thing I realized is that when I hit the ground running after that unboxing video, and I decided to do some episodes about like doll information, like where to buy them, how to find them, and then it like progressed into what's basically a news channel now, just talking about all the upcoming new stuff and some random unboxings that I do purchase that I put on my channel. But back then, I was taking off because I was one of the only people that was doing it. And then, but nowadays, if you just type in smart doll or Dolphy Dream or just dolls in general, like just BJDs or whatever, there's a plethora of channels now. There's so many to choose from, and everybody does like amazing work. Like everybody puts their heart and soul into it. It's so amazing to see the different outlooks of other people, where I can now type in one doll's name and I'll get like 5 different people's opinion on that one doll, whereas before it was either one person or none.
Right.
So there's that makes YouTube harder in a sense to get into now. It's just that there's just so many. There's a big saturation. And then I also feel like the change in YouTube went from individuals just having fun, videotaping themselves with whatever they had at the time, whether it was like a cell phone or their mom's camera or whatever, to the point where I feel like nowadays everybody that's trying to get into the YouTube game is like getting like DSLR cameras and studio lighting and big shotgun microphones, and you have to have 4K or you don't have anything. Like like all these people are like going hard into YouTube even though they're just starting, and I feel like in doing so it makes it harder for new people because then they're like, oh, but I don't have those things, I guess I can't start a YouTube channel or something like that. So there's also that stigma, but in all reality, if your content is good and what you're putting out, the information is good, it doesn't matter what kind of sound quality you have or what kind of camera you have. Like as long as the content that you're bringing is good, because you'll see some channels that like the camera might be a little off or the audio might be a little off, but it's got like hundreds of thousands of views because the message that they're trying to show is good.
Right. I'm sometimes nostalgic for like the old, low quality videos. Like they
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
certain charm to them,
Yeah, they did
you
have
know?
their own little charm to them. Yeah, for sure. So, we've delved into like, how you got into your dolls and starting your YouTube channel. So the thing I want to get into is the meat and potatoes, is talking about your customization process and the different works that you have done. So on this channel, we've already talked about like the process of doing face ups and things like that. But what I want to get into is just like your particular projects that you worked on, and what was either the best part that you liked about it, the difficult part, like any kind of challenges in doing them. And I know I asked you for this prior, so you gave us a couple examples that we're going to go over. So let me switch over to our other view. And the first one we're going to talk about is this one here. So please, if you can, let the audience know, what is it that we're looking at exactly?
So this is one of my most recent projects. This is a smart doll version of Hatsune Miku. And I was just really happy with her. I mean, she's still pretty recent, which is probably one of the reasons why I picked her like as one of my favorite face ups, because I just did it recently and I like it. Um, but I really like how she turned out. She's using I think it's an F4 sculpt.
Hmm.
It's like the Infinity sculpt.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't remember if
I
that's
I
F4 or
never
not.
can memorize their code numbers. I just go by
I
their
knew them at
names.
one point. It's not, I don't remember anymore.
Like a lot of people are
But
always getting excited, like, oh, that's the G something or the F something, and I'm like, that just looks like infinity to me. Like,
yeah.
like I
Yeah,
can't
I used
tell.
to know them all, but now there's like a lot more.
Hmm.
Ever since like it got into the semi real, like I kind of, oh, now I can't keep up anymore. There's
Yeah, there's so
too
many
many of them.
sculpts.
Um, but anyway, I've always admired the Delphi Dream version of Miku.
Hmm.
I think Miku is just, she's one of my favorite characters. She's one of everyone's favorite characters, right?
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. I like the Delphi Dream, but I always felt like um her face up didn't have like quite as much personality as I would have liked. Maybe she's not smiling enough or something. I really like
Hmm.
dolls that are smiley, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, So this was a project I had in mind for a while, and it was one of those things that I really wanted to do. So yeah, I'm really happy with how she turned out.
Did you now I'm looking at the face up here, and I really think she's such a cutie. But did you by any chance make the eyes, or are those purchased eyes?
I bought them from Ivory Teal on Etsy,
Oh,
and
okay.
they're really pretty. They're very shiny and like
Yeah, I
they're
like
really cool.
the how do I explain it? I don't even know how to explain it right. There's like a shimmer to it or something on the
Yeah.
inside of the eyes,
Yeah,
and I think it looks really cool.
they have like a lot of depth to them
Hmm.
somehow. I don't know, they're really cool. I like them a lot.
So we have the Miku one, and then this next one, what we have here. Oh, I went too far. Did I? No.
No, I don't
No,
think
that's
so.
it. No, yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So which one are we looking at on this one?
So this is Fable. I gave her that name. She's like an original character, I guess.
Hmm.
She is a T original Chitose sculpt, which I got in a
Oh, okay.
Chaos box.
Hmm.
And I was like very excited to get that sculpt.
Hmm.
Um, and I really like her face up still because I feel like it's unique. It's like a little different. I like her smiley open mouth. I just mentioned I really like my dolls to smile. Um, but basically I looked at there were prototypes, I guess, sold of Chitose where she had like a smiling open mouth.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I based her mouth on because I thought that was really cute.
Hmm.
And yeah, and she's a little like unicorn girl. She has a little unicorn horn that was made by Kitten Cat Shop.
Oh,
And
okay, from Kitten Kat. Yeah. I love their
yeah,
stuff.
it's magnetic. It's really
Hmm.
cool.
They have really great stuff, Kitten Kat. Like if
Definitely.
anybody does not know them, definitely looking up Kitten Kat Shop. They have awesome stuff. But the one thing is I noticed with this doll is that I remember when I first looked at her, there was something vaguely familiar. Like I was just like, she looks familiar, and for some reason I couldn't put my finger on it. And then when you mentioned Chitose, I was like, that's where it is. It's the eyes. It's the Chitose eyes.
Mhm.
It's like something was different, obviously because you made a different kind of like makeup and the mouth, but like the eye shape, it was like I've seen that eye shape before. Like I know this eye shape. I don't know why I couldn't just say it right out, like because being such a huge like Chitose fan, I don't know why. Like I couldn't just be like that's Chitose, but yeah.
I have a tangent, if I could go on a little tangent
Hmm.
about Chitose.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
way back when I first started getting into smart dolls, I really didn't really love the Chitose sculpt. Like
Hmm.
I don't know, like everyone was in love with Chitose, and I was like, I don't know her. And then I don't know what happened. It was like over time, I kept seeing people's photos of her, and I was like,
Hmm.
she's really adorable. Like I don't know why I didn't like her, and now it's like I'll never have the chance to own her, but at least I have this sculpt.
You
But
know what? You're not the only one that said that, to be honest. I've talked to a lot of people where they they didn't understand the Chitose craze in the beginning. Like she wasn't their favorite. Like a lot of people tell me like, oh, they like Mirai or they like Melody, because Melody was really big at the time when Chitose
Mhm.
came out, and they were like, oh, Mirai, Melody, they're so cute. Chitose is cool, but like I like Melody better or whatever, right? And then they all say the same thing, like after seeing her for a while or seeing different like customized Chitoses, then they're like, oh my gosh, now I really like Chitose. And the funny thing is when that came around, I don't know if it was the same for you, but when a lot of people started coming around, they're like, oh, I really like Chitose now. That was like the time when Danny Chu discontinued
Yeah,
Chitose.
exactly. That's exactly what happened. It's like, oh no, I missed my shot.
Because yeah, I noticed a lot of people were like, "Where can I get a Chitose?" And I'm like, unfortunately, she's discontinued now. But yeah, I honestly I don't know what the craze was. Like, I personally really liked Chitose from the get go. I thought she was really cute, really pretty. I liked her, and I hoped that other people liked her too. But, I didn't think that she was gonna take off like the way she did. Like she has like this cult following now of like Chitose believers. And I don't know how that started, but it just is now. And Chitose is like a thing. Just like Mirai is the flagship, of course, but like I feel like Chitose is like kind of close second now in
Mhm.
popularity, even though
Yeah, I
she's
feel like
hard to
she's
get.
become I feel like she's become kind of legendary somehow, you know, like
Yeah,
there's always somebody in like the Facebook groups. There's always someone who's like, I'm looking for OG
yeah, they're
Chitose.
looking for
I
OG
know it's a long
Chitose.
shot.
And then like you have multiverse Chitose, which everybody seems to really love too. And
Mhm.
we've been teased now with semi-real Chitose prototypes. At least we're all speculating it's a Chitose prototype, but who knows? But yeah, I mean that's a very interesting tangent that you went on because you're not the only one that has said the same thing. So moving on to your next projects that you've done is this one, which switch over please. There we go. So which one is this one? If you can let the audience know.
So her name is Juniper, and I actually have her right here next to me. She is like
Oh, let me
she's
put
kind
this
of
on the
like one
bigger
of my
screen.
favorites now.
Mm-hmm.
Um Basically when I did her face up, it was like this was my first smart doll face up that I did, and I was afraid to try. So I
Mm.
used a Mirai sculpt because I had a couple of those that I'd gotten in Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what my plan was, like what I was going to do next. Um, but I was like, oh, let me just start with a Mirai sculpt just so I can get used to like how this is going to go. And this was before Fortitude came out, I
Mm-hmm.
believe. That I saw her pictures and I was like, she's really cool looking. What if I tried to do like a Fortitude inspired look, but put it on a Mirai sculpt? So that's what Juniper is.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and I kind of just, like I said, I was just kind of playing around, just testing it out. But then I ended up really, really liking her.
Mm-hmm.
And um, she's just kind of become one of my favorite dolls.
She's
So
definitely a cutie, and I do see that fortitude influence in her, especially with the freckles and everything. Definitely a really cute, very cute doll. And then let's see the next one we have here. We actually have two pictures of the next one. So this one is who again?
his name is Asher, and so he kind of has a little bit of an interesting story, I guess. I wanted to get a male smart doll, and we all know that if you're part of the smart doll community, you know that they're pretty elusive
Mm-hmm.
and kind of rare. There were times here and there where they were more readily available, but in general, they just have not been super available.
Yeah.
So I think I think it was that there were a couple of male bodies that were for sale in the Chaos outlet. And I missed them. And
Hmm.
I was so upset that I missed them. It
Oh
happened too
no.
fast. Um, it was like, I didn't see it until later in the
Hmm.
day. And forget it. If
It's
you're not there right when it goes
yeah.
up on the site, it's gone.
I don't know about
Um,
everybody else in the world, but I feel like it's difficult for us and maybe difficult for the Europeans as well because usually when he posts things, it's like 10 o'clock, almost midnight for us, like in the Eastern Seaboard. I'm not sure about everyone else, around the world, but like I sometimes when he posts things, I'm asleep. I'm already sleeping, like so, like I missed
right.
it.
Yeah, I have like notifications on my phone now for whenever he posts.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
this
yeah.
this was pre like, now Danny Chu tweets whenever he's gonna
Hmm.
put something online, but this
Hmm.
was before that.
Oh,
You
this
never
is when the
like
random chaoses just showed up. Yeah,
yeah, like you'd have to just like leave the window open on your computer and just refresh it every once in a while.
yeah.
And if maybe you'd get lucky,
Hmm.
but um so anyway, so I did not get one of those, but I think somebody who did ended up selling it on one of the Facebook groups.
Hmm.
And I was really determined. And he's also in milk, this body.
Oh yeah,
Um, so
the
it's
old school
even
elusive
rarer.
color.
Yeah. So I was very determined to buy it from the person who put it up for sale. I was
Mhm.
like, messaged them right away. I was like, please. And I don't want to say how much I spent on it because it was a little more than well, no, I think actually it's reasonable for a male smart doll.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I was very determined to
Mhm.
get it, even though I had to like pay a lot for shipping because the person was like in Europe or something. But I was like, no, I need to get this.
Oh yeah,
Anyway,
that's gonna be harsh for shipping.
yeah. So anyway, um, so my plan was, I didn't have like an AG sculpt or anything. Like I didn't have like a male smart doll sculpt, but this was around the time when I think Danny Chu maybe had posted a picture of Gemini or something, and Gemini uses the same sculpt as Entropy, I believe.
Hmm.
And he just kind of, gave him more of a masculine look. And I was like, I wonder what other sculpts might like lend itself well to that. So I was kind of debating over which head to use. And then this is also I believe it's also the Infinity sculpt. If it's F4 or whichever one it is.
Mm.
Um, I believe that's the sculpt that it is. But
I
yeah, I
honestly
thought,
can't
I
tell.
think what was that?
I honestly can't tell which sculpt it is.
It's hard to tell sometimes because it looks so
Hmm.
drastically different depending on the makeup.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I just kind of I attempted it, and I was very happy with how he turned out. And unfortunately, I have kind of neglected him in the sense that I still never like made him his own cool outfit, which I was planning to do for a
Hmm.
really long time. But eventually, I will.
I mean, he looks
And
already cool as he is. Like right here, he's just lounging. Like
yeah.
he's got loungewear. He looks very like je ne sais quoi. Like very he's like very cool.
Yeah, that's an outfit by Elite Doll World, which I
Okay.
which I like a lot. I
Yeah,
just I
they
just
have good
wanted to
stuff.
like make him something, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? But I still haven't done that. But I really like him. I guess I think it makes a big difference when you do the face up yourself. That like I of course all of my dolls like I think are beautiful and I love them whether they're from Japan or whatever. But I think when you do the face up yourself and like you remember doing the strokes of the pencil
Oh
and
yeah.
everything, it just is extra special to you. So um,
Hmm.
I actually also have a smart doll Gemini now in Cinnamon, and I like him a lot, but I just find that I much like I
Hmm.
just really prefer this boy
Hmm.
because I made his face.
Yeah, I mean, I can in a way, understand what you mean because I don't do face ups, but like I've made things with my hands before. Like before I was in the doll hobby, I used to be a lot into like cars, like like the whole Fast and the Furious scene, like making like
Mhm.
modified cars. So there was a time in my life where I was actually putting things on my vehicle, like making my own custom enclosures and things like that. And I understand what you mean. It's like when you make something and then you like look at it, like you remember I guess the blood, sweat, and tears you put into it, and it just
Yeah.
kind of makes it more like, oh, like you like it more for some reason because it's like I did this rather than I bought something and I have it. It's kind of like I made this with my hands, and
Right.
it holds like a special place.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one because we have quite a few. Let's see, and then
Yeah,
okay, so we
sorry, I
have this
couldn't
one.
only pick a few. I have too
No,
many
no, this
favorites.
is fantastic because like being able to show the viewers that are watching like different kinds of dolls and what you can do with them, and having all these examples, it's amazing. So I think this is awesome. So this
Thanks.
next doll, let's talk about this one.
So this doll is from my Pokemon Zodiac series that I was doing for like I think it took me about 2 years to get through the whole series. It was
Hmm.
13 dolls in total by the end.
Hmm.
And I was doing the Zodiac, but I picked Pokemon to represent each Zodiac sign. And this one is Giratina.
Hmm.
And I feel like it wasn't actually one of the most popular videos. But I just really love how this face turned out. It's very different from my usual style. I think maybe that's
Hmm.
why it like stands out to me. Um, because my whole goal was to make her like kind of edgy, and
Hmm.
usually I just kind of like to make my dolls like cutesy a lot of the time
Hmm.
because that's what I like. But I really like how her eye makeup turned out, I guess, and I just feel like she has a very sassy look, which was what I wanted her to have,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
noticed
just like
that
this one a lot.
because you've said it many times already in today's episodes how you like your dolls being happy and smiley,
Yeah.
and I noticed that she's definitely. It's not that she's not happy. She looks like she's enjoying herself, but she's more like, what's the right word? Like is it sultry or something? Or
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I could
Like,
see that.
like she's got like this mood about her, but like it's a good mood, but just not in the happy-go-lucky kind of sense. I feel.
Hmm.
I definitely like her eye makeup too. Like I understand what you mean. Like it's very captivating the way you drew her eyes and with the makeup. Like it kind of draws you in. I do like that a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then this one also. So for the individuals that don't know, this is a the doll that you chose is which one?
Oh, okay. So this is an Ever After High doll.
Oh,
It
okay.
was Cerise Hood, I believe.
Oh, I know that
Um,
name. Isn't she like the? She's not the main character. She's like the one that's based off of
no,
like the daughter of Robin Hood or something.
she's the daughter of Little Red Riding
Oh, Red Riding Hood. Oh, okay, that's what it is.
Hood.
'Cause I only remember it because my daughter used to really love watching the
Yeah.
Ever After High
Ever
TV
After
show.
High had a great web show. It was so
Hmm.
cute.
Yeah, I mean, I watched them all because I sat there with my daughter and watched them. So, like, I do remember some of the character names. So, but that's amazing though. You did 13 of these or 12 of them. I think you said was it 12 or
Well,
13?
it was 13 because for Gemini I did two dolls.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
I did all the zodiac
That's a
signs.
lot of dolls. Did
It
how
took
long?
me a long time.
How long did you say it take you again?
I think it took me 2 years by the end.
Two
I was
years?
intending for it to be a year. Like I
Mm-hmm.
would do one per
One a
month
month.
to
Yeah.
go along with the zodiac sign of that month. And like that just did not happen. That
No,
was
that
very hard to keep up with.
I've
So
never customized a doll before, but $1 a month sounds like a stressful time frame to put yourself under.
I think a lot of artists do that. And some artists even do like multiple dolls in a month or like
Really?
I
Wow.
think I think Poppin Atelier.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but I believe I'm not sure, but she used to at least do like a custom doll and video every single week.
Oh
And I just
wow.
don't know how she did that. Like that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
it's hard.
crazy.
It's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work. Like I said, I've never customized a doll before, but I'm just like trying to think about it in my head. I'm like, how do you do that in like a week? Like that's just such a small turn. Like, do you not do anything else during that week? Like,
I don't know. I'm constantly like and this is um something that I kind of like struggle
hmm
with my work is that I'm always feeling like I'm not doing it fast enough,
hmm
because everything takes so long and it takes a
hmm
long time to like edit the video too, like a very
oh
long
yeah,
time to edit the video.
yeah.
So I'm always trying to like work faster and I think the answer is that like you just can't if you're gonna do handmade stuff, like you have to just kind of
hmm
recognize that there's value in spending a long time
hmm
doing something, making it intricate, I guess.
mm.
So
Yeah, and you're not the only one that said that. I mean, Danny posts all the time on his Instagram how like he's like, we're gonna take our time to do these things. We're not gonna rush it. Like something about like I'm not gonna work my employees to death just to get something out in a shorter time, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, like if you
right.
want like a good quality product, you got to, and it's not even just for retail. Even if you're just making it for yourself, like you want something like really nice, you takes a lot of time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
Can't rush those
Yep.
things, right? All right.
Yep.
So
That's true.
then let's see. And then we got one more on the list. And this one here.
So this is another Ever After High doll. She started out as Lizzie Hart's.
Mm-hmm.
And she is my Phantom of the Opera inspired doll. And I chose to show this face up just because it's something different.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the pattern that I made. I thought it was pretty cool. It was inspired by the Monster High doll operetta,
Mm-hmm.
who also has like a music notes, like she has like a, I don't know, what do you call that? Musical staff? Is that what that's called? I don't
I
know. The
don't
music notes
know.
thing.
Yeah, the music
She
note
has it
thing.
like
Yeah.
molded. Yeah, musical note thing. She has it like molded into her face.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to do something similar to that with my doll. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it looks really, really nice. And I'm assuming, of course, that this is all hand drawn by you.
yes.
Like
Mhm.
none of this is like what's it called? Like stencil or anything like that. Like you just freehand, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah, it's
That's
freehand.
that's amazing. Like that's very very intricate. Like how long did it take you to do this one? Because that's really intricate. If you ask me.
This probably took me a couple of days. I
Hmm.
usually like a simpler face up I probably could do in about a day, but
Hmm.
altogether it usually takes me like a day and a half at least to get through, because you also, when you're doing a face up, you have to go outside to spray the Mr. Super Clear and wait for it to dry between
Mm-hmm.
coats. This one probably took me about a day and a half or 2 days maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, because there was a lot of detail in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And it's already hard enough just to do a regular face up just to make the doll look good. And then now you're adding like essentially like tattoos, I guess, or something, like a mark all over her face. And it's not even like just like a regular, I don't know, like a I don't know, something like a lightning bolt or whatever. Like this is really intricate. Like you got musical notes and with the whatever it is it's called, I guess the score or something. And then you have roses and branches. Like it's really intricate. Like it's really nice. I do like this a lot.
Thank you.
So that is all we have today for your customized face ups. And I must say, like the ones that you showed are really good. But if individuals watching this either live or later on the VODs, definitely check out the Doll Fairy because she has a lot of customizations on her channel and they all look really, really awesome. So moving on. So not only do you do face ups, but you also do like clothing. Like you make your own clothing, especially for like theme dolls and things like that. So I want to share some of them with the audience. And the first one is bringing it back to your Hatsune Miku here. So explain the thought process on this, like because this is not the traditional outfit that she wears that everybody's kind of familiar with how she looks. So how'd you come across and decided to make this one?
So one of the things, well, let me just start out by saying, in terms of making clothes, is that I think that, after all the customizations that I've done, like full doll customizations and everything, I have learned that what the part that I enjoy the most
Mm-hmm.
is the sewing and making the clothes.
Mm.
Um, like I like doing the face ups, but I really like making the clothes even more. So that's kind of the thing that, like, I tend to do the face up first and like kind of like get it over with. um, because once the face up is done, I feel like, okay, now like kind of the hardest part is done.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I like to kind of do all the other stuff and it's like, okay, now I get to work on the clothes. Like now that's the
Mm.
part that I want to do.
Mm.
So yeah, so I'm kind of like intending to go in that direction more. I kind of have been already. I've made a few videos that are like kind of just about sewing and not about full custom dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in any case, for in any doll that I'm making, the clothes are kind of like the most exciting and fun part for me. So Hatsune Miku, of course, has her like iconic look where, like she appears in her concept art,
Mm-hmm.
um, where she has like kind of like a sleeveless gray collar top, and
Right.
she's got the turquoise tie, and she has a pleated skirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love her original design, but I guess I just wouldn't find it exciting enough to just recreate her original design. Like I wanted to do something different. And because Miku appears in so many different outfits and different art styles, really, throughout
Mm-hmm.
so many
Right.
different different artworks, videos that go with songs that she's singing, and there's just so many iterations of
Mm-hmm.
Miku. And I talk about this in the video where I made the doll. Is that I find that so inspiring that she can just kind of be interpreted in so many different ways, and she inspires so much creativity in all kinds of artists. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of like do my own Miku design, and I called in the video that I made the doll in, I called her Multiverse Miku, kind of like Multiverse
Right.
Chitose. It's like a different iteration of Chitose.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, this is like in the Doll Fairy universe, this is what I want Miku to look like.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I imagine like expressing how I see her personality
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So like I mentioned before, she's a little more smiley than
Mm-hmm.
like the doll featuring doll. Um, and so for her outfit, I wanted it to harken back to her most recognizable iconic outfit that she wears in her concept art. So I wanted it to kind of have like evoke similar vibes, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely kept like the turquoise accents. And I gave her a pleated skirt, but I guess I wanted to go in like a shiny iridescent direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up the skirt is made of like a holographic vinyl, which I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know if that was going to work. If making a pleated skirt out of like a stiff holographic vinyl, but
It looks
it did.
awesome.
Thank you. I love how it turned out. Like I was very excited that it actually worked. Um, and so there are like certain like details in her design that harken back to the original design, but um it's a different look, and it's a look that I personally like.
Hmm.
Making this doll's outfit was really fun for me because turquoise is my favorite color, first of
Hmm.
all. And holographic stuff I love too. So it
Yeah, I
was
could
just
see
like
that in your
eye
background.
candy.
I can see in your background
Yes.
the turquoise.
Yes, definitely. Oh my gosh, I have so much turquoise stuff because I just love it. It just makes me feel good. So while I was working on this project, it was just like it was like good vibes for me because it was
Hmm.
just like eye candy for me.
Hmm.
The stuff that I was making, I just kind of went all out with how do I want it to look? What's prettiest to me, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know. So yeah, a lot of iridescent fabrics and stuff. So I really liked how her outfit
Right.
turned
So
out.
this outfit is actually a 100% Doll Fairy original, I guess you could say, right? Because it's
Yeah.
your own
Mm-hmm.
inspiration into this outfit. It's not like you copied one of the outfits that she previously wore in a way, right?
Yeah, yeah. I kind of just
Hmm.
made up my own outfit for
Yeah,
her.
it's
Mm-hmm.
really cool. I definitely like this outfit. Like
Thank you.
Volk should copy this. Like I'm just like not really copy it, but I mean like take some pointers on creativity. You know what I mean? Like I guess most of the time they big companies they like to make the outfit that people are more familiar in seeing the character in. But sometimes folks, they release a doll in their original most iconic outfit, but then they also sometimes have a secondary outfit that is released with the doll that you like buy separately. And I feel like if they do something more akin of like being more creative and making their own folks original outfit that suits the doll, I think that would be cool too. That's something that you don't see much with their anime collaborations, and that might just be like an intellectual property thing that they can't or
It
whatever.
could
But
be.
I just think it's individuals like yourself that do customization work, and then you put your heart and soul into something to make an original concept like this. It's so amazing. Like this looks like something that I would buy, like from like a company. Like if I saw it on the shelf, I'd be like, oh, I want that. Definitely want that.
Well, thank you. That's an honor.
All right, so then moving on, because the next one I really want to talk about, like this next picture that you have here, which is this one. I thought this was so cool when you posted this. I was like, this is so Diana. Like this is just so Diana. Like oh my god, this is awesome.
It's literally me.
Yeah, it's literally you. So if you could explain like the whole concept behind this for individuals that may not, know what this is all about.
Mhm. Okay, so I recently got married this past June. And so just being a doll customizer, of course I was tempted to make wedding dolls of myself and my husband for the
Hmm.
wedding. And I was like, well, I want to do it. It's kind of a ridiculous thing to do because I have so much other stuff to do to like get ready for the wedding. But of course I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was like, you know
Hmm.
what? Like if I don't do it now, like I have to take advantage of this moment in time and make the dolls, and then I can actually like have them at the wedding. So that's what I did. It's kind of like a miracle that I actually finished them in time and was able to edit the video
Hmm.
so that it came out like while I was getting married, literally.
Yeah, I don't know how
Um,
you found the time to do that because planning a wedding in and of itself is so time consuming and stressful. And then on top of that, you made dolls that look like you and your husband and like dressed them up and everything. I was like, and made a video. Like, where did you even find the time for all this? That's
I
crazy.
don't even know, to be honest. Like I'm still amazed that I actually was able to do that
Hmm.
in such a busy time, and was able to like do all the stuff that needed to be done and still got that finished. I was working like hours and hours on it because I knew
Hmm.
I had like a limited amount of time left to finish this.
Hmm.
I was really determined, and I talk about it in the video a little bit how I feel like I was also kind of like putting emotion into it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I was it's my excitement and my anticipation for, you know, for marrying my husband
Mm-hmm.
was like put into this project. And so I really enjoyed doing it. And I also felt really proud of the finished product because um, I felt like, well, first of all, I was afraid that our faces were going to look really weird because I was trying to go a little more realistic than I
Mm-hmm.
usually do for the face ups. I chose made to move Barbie dolls for this project because I wanted us to have more realistic proportions
Mm-hmm.
than the other dolls that I usually customize.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know how these are going to turn out, but I ended up being very you know, they don't look exactly like us, but I feel like they're a fairly good representation.
Well, I've
And
never seen
when
your husband, but I mean, it looks pretty. Yours looks pretty close. I mean, like it looks
thank
good. Like it's better
thank
than
you.
anything I would have I would have tried to put together. But I mean, it looks really amazing. Like I when you
Thank
posted that
you.
on Instagram, and then I saw it, I was just like, oh my god, no, she didn't. I was like, this is so cool. I was like, who does this? I was like, of course Diane is gonna do this. It was so awesome. I forgot though. You posted a lot of pictures, but I forgot. Did you were these on the cake or no?
No, no, they weren't on the
Oh, okay.
cake because they would just be that would have been I don't know how because it was very like the day before the wedding I went to set up all the decorations and I
Hmm.
brought them. I had them in a big glass dome and put
Yes,
them
I
out
remember that
like
picture. Yeah.
yeah. the, where I had like the escort cards where people would go and find their name for what table they're going to go to. That's
Hmm.
where the dolls were on display. And I even like I don't know if this is shameless advertising or not, but I put like a little QR code next to it
Hmm.
so that people could find my channel when they want to watch the video.
No, that's you know what you need to promote yourself every chance you get. That is not like like I do it all the time. Like when I go and present myself either at panels or conventions, you know, I'm always giving myself like little plugs for my channel, like every chance that I could get, because you could always use as much publicity as you can. I do not fault
Yeah.
you for that. I would have done the same thing.
That's what we got to do as YouTubers, right?
Right, right.
So yeah. So and anyway, what I was gonna say about that was that just like trying to set everything up the day
Hmm.
before, I like when I was trying to set up the dolls, I didn't want to mess them up at all. I ended up messing them up and then I got all stressed out.
Hmm.
But other than that, I was able to fix them. Everything was okay. And I was just very happy that I was able to accomplish that. So anyway, in terms of sewing clothing, which was the original point of showing this,
Hmm.
um, I was really proud of how actually both of our outfits turned out. Um, but the dress I felt was like the best sewing that I had done up until that point because
Hmm.
I was really, I guess, like I said, putting a lot of effort into it
Right.
um and like trying to do a really good job. Like a lot of the time I do kind of wing things sometimes or like yeah, I'll figure that part out later and then I just kind of like, yeah, I'll just glue it on it. It'll be fine or whatever, you know, like so a lot of the time that happens when I do a custom doll because it's just going to be on display. I don't have to like worry about it too much. But this I was like, I'm going to try to really do a good job and like do this the right way and
Hmm.
I did like, you know, I sewed on all this lace and I sewed on beading and all this stuff. So I was just very very proud of the end result of it. So
It's a very intricate dress. Now is this dress a copy of the dress you wore? Like, did you try to
yes,
make it
yeah.
exactly the same? Oh my
I tried to
goodness.
make it as close as possible. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Because it's one thing, like, you know, if you make your own dress to your own design, but it's another thing when you're imitate like art imitates life, I guess, kind of thing. Like you're imitating like a real life dress, which was probably very intricate in itself. So you're trying to copy the same thing. Was it hard finding the materials that look the same as the things that you had done your wedding dress?
Kind of. I mean, the materials are, you know, they're close-ish, you know, they're
Mm-hmm.
not exactly the same. What I was hoping was that I would have enough material left over from getting the dress altered to make the dress, but
Oh.
they didn't end up cutting off that much. Like I thought there
Mhm.
would be a whole lot, but there wasn't. So anyway, so I that didn't work. So I just found, white lace, and I had to tea stain it a little because the dress was actually ivory. I think most
Mhm.
wedding dresses are apparently just ivory now.
Mhm.
And then I like found a different lace that I then had to like, it was part of the lace trim, and I had to cut out the pieces of lace and then stitch them on
Mhm.
individually. And So yeah, I just kind of like, I knew there were limitations with the materials, but I feel like it's the best representation I could
Mhm. So what did your husband think of a doll-sized version of himself?
He liked it. He
He
liked it.
liked it?
I think I showed him a little bit like of the process. Like when I was still working on them, I was like, "Do you want to see what your face looks like?" And he was like, "Yeah, it looks good. It looks good."
So now he has his own little doll of himself. I don't know if he wants to go around showing his mates about it, but he should be very proud of it. Let's see. So, I mean, that was like something I was looking at. I was like, I really wanted to hear the story on this, and that is amazing because like I said, when I saw this on Instagram when you posted it, I was just like, oh my god, this is so cool. I've never seen anyone do this before, or at least if somebody has, I just didn't see it. Like, but this was so awesome, so awesome.
Thank you.
So then the last one that we have on here talking about doll clothing is you had this picture. So tell us what's going on here on this one.
So I mentioned that I kind of have realized that my favorite part of doll customizing is making the clothes. And I really have been trying for, I guess, maybe like 2 years now, or maybe a little less than that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
To sort of move more into that direction and actually start sewing and selling smart doll clothing that I make.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like my dream, or like my goal that I have, within the next year or so, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
to do more of that. Um, so up until now, I've done a couple of collections of clothing that I sold on my website, which is the dollfairy.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really, proud of doing that. But then of course, because I had the wedding and all of that stuff going on, it kind of was put on hold for a while because it is a lot of work.
Right, right.
So yeah, so this was part of the first collection that I did, which I did these floral jeans, and I also made jeans in like a pink color as
Mm-hmm.
well. I just really loved these jeans. I love the fabric, which is like a very thin denim. It's not like a thick denim.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's the Culture Japan pattern that Danny released for Smart Doll trousers.
Mm-hmm.
But I modified it because I like skinny jeans. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that's out of style now because I'm a millennial, and I don't know what what's in style now for the young people. But I grew up with skinny jeans and I still like skinny jeans, so I made them skinny.
Listen, these
Um,
trends they come back around. I mean, bell
right.
bottoms were in what, like the 70s, and then they came back around. So like, everything like
Yeah,
comes in full circle.
it's
So
a cycle, right?
but that's
So
interesting that you said that you used the smart doll pattern and then modified it to your liking to make the skinny jeans. I think that was really cool. And not only you, but I think it's just cool in general that Danny's actually releasing these patterns for anyone to use and anyone to monetize and make money off of without, having to pay him any kind of royalties or anything like that. Like, I mean, when do you see that really in a company? Most people don't show you their, I guess, inner workings, because
right.
of thoughts that they're going to steal it. That's why we have copyright laws, right? So like
Right.
it's just amazing that he does that, and it's cool that yourself and other people are doing it. Like, I know a friend of mine that's never sewed before, he saw those patterns and he's into the whole big smart doll thing, and he actually started making clothes based off of those patterns. And it's so cool that like people are starting to get into these things. I mean, I myself, I see these patterns and I'm like, maybe it's time that I try sewing. I don't
You
know.
should try
I know
it.
nothing about sewing, like absolutely zero about sewing, but like it's just that the resources are there. It's one thing if I wanted to try to learn to sew and I'm just making jeans or shirts out of nothing, but the patterns are there now. So it's like something you could just follow off of. So now I'm kind of thinking like, well, the patterns are there. Like if I just follow the patterns, hopefully it'll come out okay. So I might, maybe when I get a chance, I might start dabbling into it, just to see if I can at least mimic, what Danny makes with his patterns. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's great that he does that. I'm still like always stunned when he comes out with more. I'm like, wow, oh my gosh, it's like Christmas. Like there's more
Yeah.
patterns.
Yeah, I think he just
And
released
he's
it last month, right? Like a
yeah,
plethora of patterns.
just like a couple weeks ago he released a bunch.
Hmm.
And one of them was for it, like they're for the boots that he makes, the
Yes, yes.
Takashin boots and the lace boots.
Hmm.
I haven't tried that yet, but I really want to because I have been pining after the like it's like wine colored lace boots or whatever. Like
Oh,
I
okay,
really
yeah.
wanted those, but
Yeah.
they're so expensive, so I never
Yeah.
got them. So it's like maybe I can make them. I'm sure they won't come out nearly as good, but
Well, I'm
hey,
I'm excited that the patterns for those are out there because I'm waiting for somebody to make them so I could purchase them off of them. Because Lord knows I could always use more shoes for my dolls. Like I know people say that all the time, even just in real life. People are like I need more shoes, but it's like it's like a real thing with my dolls because I have like most of my smart dolls, at least the older ones, they all came with those school shoes which
Mhm.
are really nice. Like, don't get me wrong, they're nice, but they don't fit like every single outfit, that I have.
Right.
So it's like I need more shoes than that. Like it went through a whole thing where like I had my dolls in like dresses and things like that, but I had no shoes. So then I had dresses, but with the school shoes on, which totally didn't match. So whenever I took pictures, it was always from like the knee up, so you couldn't see the shoes.
Oh, I do that all the time because I have the same problem. Like I have very few actual shoes for my smart dolls.
Yeah, me too. Like I have very few
Actually,
shoes.
actually in this photo that you have up here with the jeans, I made those sandals to go with
Hmm.
it and I sold some of those.
Oh, okay.
And I made them with like faux leather and stuff.
Hmm.
And that that worked out pretty cool. Um but so you can make the shoes, but like I just find making shoes a lot more difficult than just sewing fabric. It's
Yeah.
it's like more
Well, I mean, also with
complicated.
the shoes, if I remember correctly, when he posted that video of how they make shoes or whatever, it looks
Hmm.
like you're gonna need not only just the fabric, but you have to like 3D print the sole.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean, like, I guess there's other ways around it, I suppose. But like, if you're just gonna follow along with the Danny Chu way from his pattern, I guess you would need a 3D printer, right, to print out that sole part, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Unless you could, just make a soul some other way.
Yeah, some
I'm
other
like,
way. I'm sure there is
just
other ways to do it.
make it out of something else. But
Yeah.
I do actually have a 3D printer
Hmm.
now. But I'm just like, it's just like an ordeal to use it, I guess,
Hmm.
especially because like I just don't have the space to do
Hmm.
it. But
Yeah,
someday.
and we talked about it in I think it was like episode 6 or something when I had my first guest on for 3D printing, and I learned so much in that episode. Like apparently, it's not just the printer, but then the filaments, and then what kind of filaments? Is it resin? Is it like the regular plastic ones? And then the thing I didn't even notice about was is it's the toxic fumes. I didn't know. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. Like I thought you just print things, like a printer, like a color printer. You're just printing in your house. I didn't know that there's actually fumes that come out of it, and I was like, oh man, I was like, I'm learning a lot about this.
Yeah, it's true. That's kind of like the downside to it is um making sure that you're being safe, like
Right.
if you're using resin, you have to be careful. You're not supposed to like get it on your skin and you're supposed to, yeah, have it well ventilated and
Hmm.
everything. So it's like, I tend to get a little like nervous about that. So I just like put off my projects with it.
Right. So yeah, I mean that's definitely cool. And you said you have these. Is it still on your store? Available on your store? These jeans?
No, I mean they sold out a
Oh,
while ago.
okay.
I definitely want to make more of these jeans though.
Hmm.
Like I have a couple of fabrics that I'm intending to use. And I liked making the jeans. They're very like kind of complex to make. Like there's a lot of
Hmm.
steps to them. But eventually, yes, I plan to make more of them. And I'm also planning to kind of like redo my online shop and
Hmm.
everything. So hopefully early 2023, it's going to be, you know, new and shiny.
You heard it here, folks. 2023, the Doll Fairy store. Check it out. All right, so the next part I want to get into, because we talked about face ups and custom clothing, was the YouTube side of things for your channel, and for my channel as well. I wanted to kind of get your take on a couple things, but before we do that, because I'm always so bad at this with this whole live thing, because usually as fellow YouTubers, usually we're just filming ourselves, and then we could do multiple takes and edits and things like that, so you don't have to worry about things. But now you have like a live chat, so I just want to check in with everybody in chat here before we move on to say. So Dia said that he is going to animate, or he or she, whoever it may be, you are going to animate NYC. So I'll be there on Saturday, Dia. So if maybe we can meet up. I don't know if there's an actual Smart Doll meet set up. I'll have to check online, but if there isn't, I guess I'll start one and I'll post something. Yoshi Plays is on the chat. Yoshi, welcome to the stream, Yoshi. Sorry I'm late. I was drawing. No problem. Thank you for coming. Holly Dollnut actually says, Diana, your work is amazing. I have watched all your YouTube videos. You're a huge inspiration and the reason I have 8 smart dolls. Thank you for all you do. Look at that.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet.
Dia says dolls is like a potato chip, you just can't stop at one.
That's very true.
Let's see. A dude abiding 92. What about the Renaissance though? I don't remember what.
That must have been in reference to something that we were
Yeah,
talking
I know.
about.
I missed out on that dude abiding because we kind of neglected chat a little bit. Sil MK says this Miku turned out so cool. Thank you, Sil. Look at that, Diana. See, people love your stuff. Let's see. Haruhi says, so nice and lovely chat with Doll Fairy. Oh, thank you, Haruhi. And then Dia says, I have your coat from the shop. And I am a she. Oh, okay. So this is she. Sorry, I'm sorry about that. Like, because nowadays, like the whole thing with identifying, who you are is like a big deal. So I always feel bad, like if I like misspeak, I'm like, oh no, I didn't mean to say that because I don't know, because you just have screen names, so you don't really know who's on the other side of the screen name. But yeah, Dia says that they have your coat from your shop. I don't know really which coat she's referring to, but
I think maybe I did sweaters one time, it's kind of like a large sweater. Maybe that's it.
And maybe
anyway, thank you.
Dia will probably say something and update the chat in a bit. All right, so going back to the topics at hand. So the next thing I want to talk about is YouTube, and as fellow YouTubers, and I've talked about this with other guests, and I want to get your take on things. Is that when you decide to make a YouTube channel, at first it's kind of like, I'll just post whatever I like and things like that. But then you get to a certain point where you're just like, what do I want my channel to be for, like, content, to show my most creative, I guess, side or whatever just interests me. So how do you personally, like, go about the process with deciding, like, what you want your channel to be about, like whether it's customizing or just dolls? Like sometimes you have channels that dabble in a little bit of everything. So what's the creative outlook that you have for your channel, like and what gets you inspired?
That's a great question. I guess I find that sometimes like I'm always asking myself that question because sometimes there are things I want to try or things that I want to do that maybe are a little bit different than what I've done before. And it's just the nature of things that those videos tend to not do as well because people are kind of like looking for the same content that they're used to, I guess, basically. But I also think that, if you're making videos of your art and you're an artist, then you're always gonna grow and change to some degree, pretty much. Similar to, like, musical artists that you listen to. People will sometimes be like, oh, they changed their style, I don't like them anymore. It's like, well, but artists are always growing and evolving,
right?
So I think when it comes to what content you're making, I think that there's always a couple of different things to think about, like, oh, well, what are people going to actually want to watch? What are they going to watch? What's going to get views? versus what do I feel like doing, what inspires me, and what
Mm-hmm.
do I want to do. So I think that's something I'm always kind of trying to balance those two things, because I think if you make content just because you know that people want to watch that thing, but you're not personally as invested in it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for me anyway, I think if I'm not like super intrinsically motivated, I struggle with the project.
Mm-hmm.
If it's more like it's just because I have to do this to, I don't know, please people or whatever. Um, I think that doesn't happen to me as much because I do tend to mostly do stuff that inspires me and makes me happy. Um, but I think that as artists, if you don't do the stuff that inspires you, then you're just going to run out of steam.
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of have to always be replenishing that, um, that inspiration that motivates you. Otherwise, lots of YouTubers burn out because they're just trying to make the content because now
Mm-hmm.
this is their job. Um, but it's like there has to be a balance between I'm doing this thing because it's my job and I'm trying to actually, make some sort of money off of it
Mm-hmm.
versus I'm an artist and I can't do the thing unless I'm inspired to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right, and that kind
And
of delves into the next topic I want to go to is like with like YouTube real life balance, like your mental health and like balancing YouTube life and your real life, and you kind of like touched upon it a little bit there when you were kind of describing your creative ideas for your channel. Um, but I've mentioned it plenty of times, so I'm not going to mention it now. But I've said it in prior videos and stuff like that about my my bout with burning out with YouTube and not having the right work life balance between doing YouTube, doing work and spending time with my family. So that was like a whole thing. But I want to kind of get your take on that too. It's just because you do YouTube a lot and if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of like your job now. Um trying to balance that creativity and of putting YouTube videos out and then also making sure like you have a healthy dose of just Diana time, just time to yourself and time with your husband. Do you find yourself really trying to balance it or do you think you're in a good spot right now?
I think that this is a thing that's like always on my mind and that I'm always kind of trying to figure out how to improve
Mm-hmm.
that, like, work life balance there. Um, because, just life in general has a lot of responsibilities along with it
Right.
that, like, even though maybe I would like to sit at my desk and just do the project from start to finish and like keep working on it for like hours and hours and hours,
Mm-hmm.
you can't always do that. And then when it comes to the YouTube videos themselves, it's like, okay, I finished the project finally. And now I have to go through all of that footage and I have to edit it. And that takes hours and hours and hours.
Yes.
So I think it's really hard. And this is something that I am struggling with, that I've
Mm-hmm.
been struggling with since the start of my channel, just
Mm-hmm.
because it is a lot of work. And like I kind of mentioned before, it really helps when you're intrinsically motivated. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited about this project. I can't wait to show it to people, to share it with people. So I'm, motivated and inspired to take the photos and, um, put make the video and get it out there so people can see it. Um, but it is really hard to kind of to do all of that and then still not feel like, I think when it takes so many hours, it can get a little discouraging. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I finally finished that, but now I have to do the next,
Yeah, yeah.
So
And I
yeah.
think like that's something that I feel is unique, I guess, for YouTubers in general. Is just that you go and you have this idea and you're excited to do this idea, so you go out there and you film it and you do all this stuff and you're like, yes, I finally did it, and then you're like, wait. I still got to edit it, and then like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have to go and now collect all the footage that I just did, and then all the photos that I took, and then kind of edit the video, find like the right tone, I guess is the right way to say it, like how you want to present your clips in a certain order, and then find like some kind of music that flows and kind of accentuates the idea you're trying to get across. And man, I didn't realize that was the hardest part. Like you're editing videos and you're putting them together, but finding the right sound to go with it was so difficult in my opinion. Like finding the right music to go with something. Like I spend hours like listening to different kind of songs or tunes, and I'm like, that's not really, that doesn't feel like the mood I'm trying to portray for this video. So like I'm like
Yeah.
next, and it's like 2-3 hours later I finally pick a song, and then like once I pick the song I'm like, okay, now I gotta put it in, and I'm playing the scenes in my head as I'm listening to the song, and I'm like, okay, I think this one will work. And then like after you do all that, then you're like, oh well, then now I gotta create the thumbnail. How am I gonna make a thumbnail to that'll pop, that makes people want to be like, oh, this looks interesting? Because that's one of the things they tell you, like in YouTube school, I guess you could say, is that your thumbnail means a lot. Like it's what attracts a lot of people. So you got to figure out how am I going to make my thumbnail, and then how am I going to write my description, and then my title, and then my tags, and then how many social media outlets am I going to advertise it on. Like it's a
Mhm.
whole lot of work, and I don't think individuals that are not in YouTube really understand the full extent of it. Like I guess they have an idea. Like I had an idea of what it took before I did YouTube, but then when I started actually doing it, I'm like, whew, this is a lot of work.
It really is. Yeah. Like what you were saying there about like, oh, okay, I finished this part and then there's more to do. Right.
Hmm.
I always feel like that with the sound too. It's like, yes, I finished editing. Oh, wait a second. I have to add music now, and that's gonna be a whole other thing. And yeah, it really it's a lot. And it's super satisfying when it's finished and it's out there and people are watching it and enjoying it.
Hmm.
Um, but it is a lot. It is a lot. And I think you kind of have to be enjoying it to some extent, because if you want to do this like to make money,
Hmm.
like that's not really going to work.
Right.
I mean, unless you have like a whole team and all these people doing the
Hmm.
production and the editing for you and all that stuff. But it's really kind of like a labor of love,
Hmm.
you know.
Right. And if you are doing it for money, you know, and it's not like I'm saying you're doing it for money because you just want to get paid, but I mean if you are, doing what you love and then it's supporting you at the same time, uh, some of the things that you got to think about when it becomes your career, I guess, is you have to start looking at, the YouTube algorithm. How does the algorithm work, and the trends? Like I've watched and listened to a lot of like content creators talk about like their careers and things like that, and one thing that a lot of them seem to say, like the bigger individuals that have like millions of subscribers, is that not only do you have to work on your YouTube channel and really create an art, but you also have to watch a lot of YouTube. Like a lot of them
Hmm.
say you have to watch a lot of YouTube and a lot of different creators to see what's trending. Like, are people using this kind of transition, and do people like that, or are people using this kind of type of thumbnail? Like in watching other YouTubers, you kind of get ideas for your own YouTube channel, and you stick with the trend, because if you don't, you kind of get left behind, and then like
Yeah.
everybody's watching all the like the other things. So I mean that's one thing that you have to keep in mind, I guess, if you're really doing this for something to support yourself as well. Whereas for me, I'm blessed and I'm lucky enough to have a job that's able to support me and my family. So YouTube, at least for me, is just like a side thing for a hobby. But for individuals, like yourself, that rely on the income, it's, I feel like doing that work life balance, it would be harder, because now you're like, oh well, I need to do this because or else I'm not going to get enough money to pay the rent this month or something like that. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
you got a lot more to think about than I do when I post a video.
Well, I think the other thing is realizing that you can't actually just put, I mean, to use a cliche, like put all your eggs in one basket either.
Hmm.
Like I can't really expect that just making YouTube videos is going to be enough, because
Hmm.
it's definitely not.
Right.
I mean, if I had millions of subscribers, then maybe it would, but it's not easy to get to that place.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can't, I think to some extent, you can't really make that happen, at least not quickly.
Right.
um, so you also have to be thinking of, like, I'm constantly thinking of trying to think of other ways that I can, supplement this and make it, like more comfortable, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, financially as a career. Um, I mean, as it stands, like I have a part-time job. I can't really just not have a part-time job because, even though my channel, like I'm proud of my channel, it's like I said, I don't have millions of subscribers
Mm-hmm.
and millions of views. So that's another thing that I think just comes with being an artist and trying to make that your career is that it can be tricky to
Mm-hmm.
try to find those avenues that you can actually um, profit off of sharing your art.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I'm still continuing to learn and figure out and
Mm-hmm.
experiment with. Yes.
Right, right. And that's a very eye-opening for me too, because that whole work-life balance thing that we're trying to get across is that not only you're doing a YouTube channel, but you say you also have like a part-time job that you do. So now you're balancing your YouTube career and your part-time career, and then also having family time to yourself, and friends time as well. So making that balance is very difficult. And I guess you could say that really comes into anything, like whether you're YouTube or not. Like if you're just a, I don't know, like a doctor or something, just trying to balance work life, then
Yeah,
like
that's true.
it's always a thing. But like, specifically for this channel, because we are fellow YouTubers, like it's just one thing that I wanted to talk about is because I never really thought about it when I was making YouTube videos until I had my burnout, and I just couldn't do it anymore, and I needed to take a break. And this is coming from somebody that I just do this for fun. Like I'm not I'm not even doing this for any kind of income or anything. Like it's just something that I thought was fun to do, and I really enjoyed doing it. But at the same time, like I did so much of it that I ended up burning myself out. And
Mm-hmm.
when that happened, like I guess you don't realize it until it happens to you. So it became like a big topic of mine that I like to discuss whenever I have the chance. So it's nice to be able to have like somebody else's opinion on that matter, on the whole YouTube real life balance thing. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Okay, so then that brings us to pretty much the end of the video, and the only things we have left is all like the little bonus content that I like to put at the end. So I just, before we get to that, I just want to really thank you, Diana, for appearing on today's show and participating and, taking, time out of your busy schedule to, be on this show. I know it's not at the most opportune time of the day because I only have time to do this like really late at night when the kids fall asleep. So I do appreciate you, putting time aside, to be on this show. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be on the show, and this has been a lot of fun. It's so much fun chatting with you.
Yeah, I'm having definitely a lot of fun, and that's why I really like doing this show. Is that not only do I get to talk about like in just my regular videos where it's just me with no guests, just talking with chat. It's just fun talking with other YouTubers. And even if you're not a YouTuber, like I've had other guests that were just customizers that don't do YouTube, or or people that do 3D printing. It's just nice having that conversation about the hobby that we love just from different aspects. So it's really cool having you on, and all the other guests that I've had. So the next part I like to do is a segment that I like to call Dream Doll. And since Diana is our guest, she gets to decide what dream dolls we're going to be talking about today. Also, we're going to be doing a bit of an anime corner as well for today's episode that we'll get to afterwards. So the first one we're going to tackle is the dream doll section. And where is it? Where's the here we go. Changing it back here. Now, going back to chat real quick, Dia says, oh, it was the sweater that they purchased from your shop. And Alex Vet says, the Doll Fairy is the best. And
Thanks, Alex.
Reina I think it's Acion or Axion, says, "Hello, Miss Diana. It's me, Rena, with exclamation points."
Hi. She actually won a contest that I had.
Oh, she did?
So
Oh,
we've been communicating a little bit. Yeah.
congratulations, Rena, on winning. So the dream doll section is basically we're going to talk about a doll that Diana would like to see made and a couple ideas regarding that. So the first one up, or duo up, is from Kingdom Hearts characters. So Diana, if you could just explain the two characters here for individuals that may not be familiar with them.
Mm-hmm. So a love of mine is the video game series Kingdom Hearts. Unfortunately, I'm a bad fan and I still haven't finished Kingdom Hearts 3. But these characters will always be super dear to my heart. So now being a customizer, when I think of a dream doll, I kind of don't just think of like what would I like for a company to make, but I also like I'm of course always thinking about like how would I make them? And
Mm-hmm.
maybe I will make them someday. Um, but so for Riku and Sora, who are the protagonists of the Kingdom Hearts series, um, I was thinking that they would make good smart dolls, perhaps. Really in the semi-real style, but not the newer semi-real style. So if you've been following the development of the semi-real smart dolls when they first came out, they were kind of like a little more simplistic, a little more anime like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think Danny actually said that his like when he was conceptualizing it, that it was kind of like a video game character.
Yeah, I think he
Um,
did say that in the very beginning. Yeah.
I feel like he did, yeah. So so I would use probably the older sculpts that don't have the nostrils. Like they're a little less realistic and
Mm-hmm.
a little more anime, a little more cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I always thought that, well, because actually, this is because I have a Gemini doll, and Gemini kind of reminds me of Sora.
Mm-hmm.
And Gemini, I believe, uses the same sculpt as Entropy, like the more
Okay.
smiley sculpt.
Mm-hmm. Which is
So
the top one we have here pictured.
yes. Um, and Riku is a little more serious, a little less smiley than Sora. So I thought that I think that's the Go2 sculpt, the original Genesis sculpt I would use for Riku.
Oh, okay. I think I got the wrong one. Yeah, this is the newer one.
It's
Sorry, posted the wrong picture here.
okay. They're pretty close.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, these would be good candidates, I guess, for making these characters. And I threw my hat in the ring, even though I'm not a face-up artist myself. But I thought maybe like if going on the Dolphy Dream side, I thought maybe these different face sculpts might work as well. So I was thinking kind of like the 25 head here for Riku and the 16 head here for Sora might work. But I don't know.
I
What
could
do you
definitely
think?
see that. Yeah.
Like I usually just try to compare the faces when I do this. Like I'm like looking through like the list and I'm like, well, I guess if I was a customizer, I guess these would work because at least, at the very least, like the eye shape kind of like at least matches and like the contour of the face maybe. And then
Hmm.
most of the other stuff the artists themselves can kind of like change and mess around with to get the right look.
Yeah, definitely.
So these are the characters. If Diana were to make a Riku or a Sora, it would probably be like either an Entropy or the Genesis version 1, the original one, or maybe you can even dabble in some of these Dolphy Dream heads that could work for any of these characters here. So that's
Are
pretty
those
cool.
heads like the hard to find ones though? Like, because
These
I know some heads you can only get through like Dream Choice or
Yeah,
something, right?
these ones are the Dream Choice ones. So yeah,
Okay.
you have to build the doll in order to get these heads. Although every now and then folks would like have like these weird sales on their websites where some of the Dream Choice heads become available for you to just buy. I think they just recently had one like 2 months ago. I don't know if the heads are still there, but I think it's the 26 and 27 for the Dream
Oh,
Choices
okay.
you could just buy outright with the eye holes
Cool.
cut out or with the eye holes still there. I don't remember if it's still available on the international website or not, but every now and then they do things like that where they just sell the head separately. You just kind of like have to watch out on their website for the announcement. And then there was another one that you actually wanted to talk about, which was for Cinderella. So, because I know you told me, but tell the audience, what idea did you have in making your own Cinderella doll?
So I mentioned there in the beginning of this whole show, I mentioned that I got really into limited edition Disney dolls
Mm-hmm.
at one point, and I still really like them. I still have a bunch of them. And I guess I always wanted to make like my own dream Cinderella doll. And you can see on the screen this photo here. This is a screenshot from the original animated movie. You can see that her dress is very silvery, almost white even. And since then, all of the Disney princess marketing has made her dress like a lot more blue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I kind of was thinking that someday I'd like to make my own dream Cinderella doll that has more of a silvery dress. And that is kind of a combination of the 1950 animated Cinderella and the 2015 live action Cinderella.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
Um,
we have that too. I have other
mhm.
pictures here. There you go.
So the 2015 live action Cinderella, I really really loved that. It's the only Disney remake movie that I really fully get behind. I really liked it.
I'm ashamed
Um,
to say I haven't seen that particular one yet. So
oh, okay.
I should put that on my queue to watch because I haven't seen that one, the 2015 one
I
yet.
think it's, I mean, I haven't seen all the other live action ones, but
Mm-hmm.
it's, this is like a tangent now, but this one, the 2015 Cinderella is really good because it doesn't try to like just rehash the original 100%. It's like kind of its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of having like the songs, it leaves room for a lot of like character development and a little more depth than the
Mm-hmm.
original story, which I really, really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so anyway, in that version of Cinderella, I really like her hairstyle. And so the doll that you see on the screen is the Cinderella limited edition doll that came out in 2020. And I have this doll, and I would like to use her as a base for this Dream Cinderella because if you look at her hairstyle, she has a hairstyle that's very similar to the 2015 live action
Mm-hmm.
hairstyle. So this is on my like dream project list, and it's been on that list for at least like 4 years or something. I don't know. So someday I will do it, but it would be very like shimmery and kind of iridescent.
Mm-hmm. So when you do get around to it, are you gonna use your very own limited doll here to customize? Or are you gonna get your hands on like another one? So this way you would have the original one, and then you'd have like the doll fairy customized version.
That's always the most difficult question, right? Since I wouldn't be like destroying the doll and I would probably keep her face up because I like her face,
Hmm.
um, I might just use the doll that I have. It would require deboxing her and giving her a new outfit, but I wouldn't be like destroying the doll in any way. So
Hmm.
I'll probably end up doing that if I ever get to do this. Um, but but yeah, it is always like a difficult question to be like, wait a minute, am I going to customize the limited edition one?
Hmm.
But you know what? When you're at the level of customizing like $500 dolls, then when you have to customize one that's like $130, it's like,
It's like, ah, this one's not that bad.
I mean, it's limited edition, so I still take it seriously and I
Hmm.
don't take it lightly when I
Right.
customize one. But you
And it's
know,
probably still hard to find her, I guess, in certain places maybe. Because I know I saw one. There was a Belle doll that I wanted to get from Disney, but the thing was is that I didn't really keep up with like the Disney releases, so I didn't really know when she was going to be released. And when I actually saw her in the store, I asked the salesperson. I was like, is this for sale? When is it going to be for sale? And they were like, oh no, this one's just a display. She was already released. They're all gone. And I was just like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. Like she had like this
yeah.
really modern take to her. Like it was Belle and the regular Belle face and hair, but like the dress was different. And you know how like she has the traditional, but like the original dress that she wore in the show or in the movie, it was the gold one for the ball gown.
Hmm.
So they had one where it was more modern, where it was like, how do I say it? It was like a pencil skirt with a, like a top with the off the shoulder kind of things, and it looked really cool with like, and it was all gold, but it had a flowery pattern through it, and I was like,
Hmm.
this
I
looks
think I know
really
which one you're
awesome.
talking about.
Yeah, it looked really cool, and I was like, oh, I would love to have this in my collection. I've never had like a Disney princess doll, but if I were to have one, I was like, this one looks cool. But then she was like, no, they're all gone, they're sold out. This is the what we have left is just the display here. And I was like, can I
Oh.
buy the display? And she was like, no.
No.
So now I'm just kind of resigned to the fact that Volks has been making Disney princesses dolls for at least I think it's like been 2 years now since they started it. So they had the Rapunzel one, the Cinderella one, and then they just recently had the Anna and Elsa one. So I am patiently waiting to see when the Belle one is going to be released, because I like, when it comes to Disney princesses, I'm a huge Belle fan, so I would love to have one. I just hope she looks good. Because not, like, it doesn't matter what company that you go to, whether it's Volks, Smart Doll, A-Zone, whatever. They, whoever makes the sculpts has their own, like, they have to follow the IP, but they always have their own little flair to it, so it never really
Mhm.
looks exactly like the character. So I'm just hoping that when the Belle one gets released, it looks, pretty close. So I'm super excited and waiting for that one. It'll also be my first resin doll. I've never had resin before, and all these princesses have been resin dolls from Volks. So yeah, waiting for that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, I don't have any resin dolls either, and that's one of the things that I've been like, someday I'm going to
Yeah,
get one. I don't know when,
I'm
but
scared to
hopefully
get one
someday.
though. I'm really scared to get one because, like, I guess the whole thing with the elastics inside holding them together
Mm,
and maintaining the elastics seems very intimidating to me. But I have
yeah,
a lot of friends that have them, so I'm pretty sure if I have any issues, they could always help me out. But it's like one of those things where it's just a very different type of doll, and they're very beautiful, but I just haven't delved into that market because I need the right one to get me started. So I'm waiting for
yeah.
that Belle doll.
I would love to get a mini fee. I actually was saving up for one,
Hmm.
but then it was derailed by the whole smart doll obsession.
Oh,
It
okay.
was like I was saving up, and that was when I went to Anime NYC
Uh-huh.
and met Danny Chu and saw the smart dolls. And I was like, I think I really need to get a smart doll. So that's what happened to that. But hopefully someday I'll
Hmm.
get a mini fee.
Yeah, minifees are really cute. I haven't delved into them yet either, but I've seen a lot of people's YouTube content or Instagram pictures of them. They look really cool. Definitely is something to keep on the back burner that I might get into at some point. But what is your? I'm just curious. What is, because you're also a Disney fan, and you said you started collecting the Disney dolls from way back in the day. What's your take on the Volks Disney princesses that they've been releasing so far?
For some reason, I just didn't really feel like I needed to collect them. I mean, they're also pretty pricey, so I was like,
Hmm. That is
it's a
true.
good thing I don't love them. But I think they're really beautiful. But I guess I don't know. I guess it's like they're the way that the faces are, like you mentioned, how they kind of have their own style to
Right.
them. I think when it comes to that style of doll, like the Volks dolls, I just really prefer like the anime look
Hmm.
to that one. And I
Hmm.
just mentioned mini fees, and I feel like I guess it's a little bit similar, kind of like in that vein
Hmm.
of like what the sculpts look like, but I don't know. I guess they just don't really look like the princesses
Hmm.
to me. So that's why I
Yeah.
just, wasn't.
When it comes to Disney princesses in particular, it's kind of like you need that cartoon look, I guess. Is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like they kind of look like pretty dolls that are cosplaying as the princesses, but they
Mm.
don't look like they are the princesses to me.
Mm. Mm. Well, I'm hoping that when the Belle one comes out, she'll look really good.
Yeah, maybe she will.
Because I think I think out of all the ones that's already been released, I like the Rapunzel one the best. I'm
Yeah,
not
she's very pretty.
I'm not really feeling the Cinderella one, and the Anna and the Elsa ones. I feel like because they made like I guess the teenage versions, and then they made chibi versions, like the little ones. I think the little ones actually
Yeah.
look better than than the actual teenage looking ones.
Yeah, they're very cute. I was very excited to see what those would look like.
Hmm.
But I guess I don't know. It's just something about the style, like it just didn't really like capture me,
The
you
outfits
know?
look great though.
Yeah,
The
yeah, they
like the
do.
dresses and stuff look really nice. So, okay, so moving on from Dream Doll, the last part we have, which is very exciting for me because I didn't realize that Diana and I have some very similar tastes, is the anime corner. So, we have a couple shows here that we're going to talk about really quickly. So, the first one up, which should be no surprise for my viewers, but for Diana, she chose Code Geass as one of her favorite ones. So I mean, I love Code Geass, but what is it that you like about it that you wanted to share it on today's episode?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that one is my top favorite anime. It's one
Hmm.
of the few that I have watched multiple times. I don't know what it is I love about it so much. It's a bunch of different things. It's like that they're the character designs, first of all. I love the character designs.
Hmm.
The artwork is really cool looking and I don't know, it's very colorful. It's colorful without looking cutesy or
Hmm.
silly. Like the characters can have like the craziest hair, but they're still like I can totally still take them seriously, I guess. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I just really love the character designs,
Hmm.
first of all. And I think the story is really good. I really like all the kind of twists and turns in it and the characters. I really like the character of Lelouch. I
Hmm.
think he's really interesting. And there are a bunch of minor characters that I really like as well
Hmm.
throughout the show. And yeah, I don't even know how else to explain how it's just like a really good story.
It is. The
And
story is
I
great.
highly recommend
The
it.
story is really good. And the one thing, and I might be alone in saying this, who knows, but the one thing I think is really interesting is that Lelouch's character, it has so many layers to him, and he shows so many sides too, because then you see this super cool looking high school kid that looks like, like the, I guess, the cool kid, right, in school, but then he's also like really super smart. But then he has like this psychotic side to him as well where he gets a little crazy. And then
Yeah.
but then you also see he's not perfect. Like you actually get to see him make mistakes and how he has to deal with the mistakes, and he gets frustrated, and he's trying to solve the problem that he originally created. And I feel like after watching Code Geass, uh not every single anime, but all the animes that try to be the same vein, where they're kind of serious but kind of adventure, I feel like they're all like the protagonists are like Lelouch copies, but not quite Lelouch. Like they're trying to get the
Uh-huh.
same effect that Lelouch gave people, but they're not getting it right.
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's
Maybe
definitely
that's
very
just me.
complex.
But it's a very good show. I highly recommend it too as well. I was very interested to see that you actually really like this show. Like I honestly I had no idea what your taste in anime would be going into this, but it's pretty cool that we have the same inkling, at least when it comes to Code Geass. At least that's really cool. Then the next show that you had on here that you wanted to share was this one. Now this is one I haven't seen, so I don't know much about it. Can you let the viewers know?
Sure. Princess Tutu is just like beautiful and adorable and it's sweet, but also it's not as like childish as you would expect when you hear the name Princess Tutu. Like I remember
Hmm.
my friend told me about this show and told me it was called Princess Tutu and I just kind of assumed it would be like your typical magical girl
Hmm. Right.
story without too much depth to it, but it's not that. It's very fairy tale like. There's a lot of fairy tale elements. Um, there's a lot of ballet in it, which I think is really cool. Um, and there's a lot of like heart. Like it's a very
Hmm.
sweet, touching story that is a little complex sometimes. Um, let's see. I don't know what else to say without like I don't want to give the
Hmm.
plot away, but um
Is it a very
basically the
happy-go-lucky kind of thing? Is that?
not exactly. Like there's
Hmm.
actually like it's a little dark at times.
Oh, okay.
So the premise is that this girl, Princess Tutu, that's not really her name. She's a girl who is given the power to become Princess Tutu, who is kind of like a legendary figure who's like a ballerina who is able to help people through the magic of her dance.
Okay.
Um, but where it gets interesting is that as the show goes on, you see that she's kind of part of a fairy tale story that gets dark at times, like almost like Ever After High. We mentioned Ever After High before in
Hmm.
the webisodes,
Hmm.
um, where it's kind of like I don't know, is meta the word where you kind of step back from the story and the people in the story start to understand that they're in a story, that there are
Oh, okay.
forces pulling the strings,
Hmm.
directing their story and what happens to them, and destiny versus what can they do themselves, to
Hmm.
what choices can they make to make their lives better or whatever. I don't know if I explained that well, but it's a really good show. It also includes a lot of classical music in it, a lot of really beautifully animated ballet scenes, while also being magical, a little dark, and also very sweet. So
Hmm. Okay. Well, I definitely will at least take a look into it and see what it's all about. Probably watch like the first couple episodes, but it sounds really interesting so far. And then the next one that you have here is Vampire Knight. Now, this is an interesting one. I actually really wanted to see this one. It looked really, really cool, and I actually bought it. But back when I bought this, it was like way back in the day when streaming wasn't really a thing as it is now. And I remember going to Chinatown and I got like a bootleg copy of it, and I took it home and it was so garbage, like I couldn't even watch it, like it was so
oh
bad.
no.
So ever since then I never actually really got a chance to watch it. So I now that streaming is an actual thing, like I can probably find it somewhere to watch, but it's definitely something that caught my eye. So being the person that actually watched it, what do you recommend about it?
I really liked it a lot. I had like a major vampire phase
Hmm.
when I was like in high school. I mean that's when Twilight was the craze, and then
Oh
there were
yeah, okay.
all these YA novels about vampires, and I was really into the concept of vampires. I was writing my
Hmm.
own vampire stories and whatnot.
Hmm.
So I really was into it for that reason. I read some of the manga. I never finished reading the manga. But then I watched the anime. I think maybe it was on Crunchyroll. I used to
Hmm.
have a subscription. I don't anymore, but I think I watched it on there. Um, but let's see. I don't know what to say about it. It's like a romance, but it's kind of dark
Hmm.
sometimes and a little bit edgy sometimes. Um, and it's like it's a great representation of vampires. If you like vampires, it's good.
Is it more like a love story, or is it like more actiony, I guess, or a little bit of
I think
both?
it's got both. It's got a little bit of both. Like
Okay.
it's definitely like the romance thing is a big part of it, but it's not like just strictly a romance.
Hmm.
It's a drama, I guess I'd call it a
Drama.
drama.
Okay. Yeah, this is definitely one that I've been wanting to watch for a while. It's just haven't gotten around to it, and I actually tried to at some point, but then you know how that went. So I should definitely get to it at some point. But it's definitely really cool looking. I like the art design of the characters as well. That's what drew me into it at first.
Yeah, the manga, I really love the artwork in the manga
Hmm. Okay, and then the next one we have here. Oh, this one. Oh my God, what can I say about this one?
too.
This is definitely one of my favorites of all time. I really love this show. It's not what you had expected it to be, too, at first. Like when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be like some really cool like cyborg princess kind of thing. And then when you watch it, it's like totally something totally different. But what did you really like about Violet Evergarden?
I would say that my favorite thing had to be the artwork. Just like it's visually a masterpiece. It's
Mm-hmm.
really beautiful just to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And then the story is heartwarming, touching. It makes you sad sometimes. Like I'm pretty sure it made me cry.
Oh, it definitely made
Um,
me cry.
yeah. So to me, that's the mark of a good story. It makes you cry. Um, so yeah, it was just really, it was very beautiful. That's what I would say
Yeah,
about
the
it.
artwork is amazing in this show. It's really really good. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Like it's just the lines are so crisp and the colors are they just pop, but not to the point where it's like comic-y. You know what I mean? Like it's just very well done. And the story is just really really cool. It's not what, like I said, it's not what I expected it. Thought it was going to be some cyborg like princess thing. Ended up being something totally different, but like in a good way. And it's not something, I want to say, it's like not something I've seen in anime before, like the type, not like the overarching story, but like the actual setting, like the way that they're like, oh, they characterize these individuals as dolls, and like what their job description is. I was just like, that's a really interesting take on how people communicate in this world. I thought it was really awesome.
Very imaginative.
And then lastly, this is a show that I've wanted to watch, haven't seen it, but I've heard nothing but really good things about it, which is called Anohana. So what what
This
what do you think about Anohana?
Well, I just said before that if it makes you cry, that's to me, that's the mark of a good story.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one definitely made me cry like a few times. So I really like it for that reason. It's just sad and good and like it's sweet,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not sweet in terms of being like over the top sweet. Like I don't know. It's very sad and sweet. I don't know how else to
That's
describe
what I
it,
heard. I've heard it
but
from everybody that I know has watched it, has always said it's sad and it'll make you cry. But like not
it's
like sad in a depressing way, I guess, but more like in
yeah.
people are just like it say it's beautiful, it makes you cry. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, like it kind of deals with the feeling, the sadness of, you know, I guess growing up, looking
Hmm.
back on childhood, how people grow and change, how I guess people have impacts on each other throughout the rest of their lives.
Hmm.
It's about a group of friends and like they were friends as kids and now they're like not really friends anymore. And then it's kind of like them reconnecting, dealing with the painful things that happened between them. And
Hmm.
um, yeah, it's just good.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this at some point too. Like this is one that's on my. It's been on my list for like a long time. Just haven't really gotten around to it. But I've heard nothing but good things, so definitely gonna have to check that one out. And
I have one
then
more
let's see.
anime that I forgot
Oh
to say to you
yeah, what's up?
that I just want to mention, which is Puella Madoka Magica. I don't know how you're supposed to
Oh
say the title of
no!
that,
Yes. Okay, so yeah,
but that one's
it's
that one's just
it's Puella Madoka Magica, I think is the way it actually is. And that one, okay, so it's interesting that you brought that one up because that one is definitely not what I expected it to be at all. Like I thought it was going to be cute magical girls show, but then it ended up being really dark,
yeah. Oh
like
yes,
like
very dark.
really dark, like dark to the point where like I don't know if I want to keep watching this, but the story kind of draws you in to where it's like I have to finish this now. But it was just so dark. Like I didn't think like a cutesy magical girl show would get like that. Like it's really interesting. And the funny thing is my daughter's like, "Oh, I heard it, my friends are talking about this show called Madoka." I was like, "Can I watch it?" I'm like, not till you get older." I was like, "Let's wait a couple years before you watch this
Yeah.
show."
Yeah, because it could be a little disturbing at times.
Yeah. And it's not like it's I don't want to say super super graphic, but there's some parts of it where it's just really creepy. Like
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
like the background settings like of the areas that the characters walk through, where I'm like, "Oh, that's like a like almost like Nightmare Before Christmas or night was it? Is it Nightmare Before Christmas with Jack Skellington? I think it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it's got like that Nightmare Before Christmas vibe to the
Hmm.
setting where I'm just like, ooh, this is really creepy actually.
Yeah, there's some really creative art in there that is
uh
really kind of disturbing. I think it really captures the creepiness that they wanted to
mhm.
convey. So it's definitely worth watching if you're
There's
down for some darkness.
yeah, and I don't want to spoil it for people that haven't watched it, but like I know you'll understand what I'm saying, Diana, is that there's a certain character in the show that I fell in love with from the very beginning of the show, and then something happens on, a very early on episode where I was just like, "No, why? Why?" I was like
Oh,
I was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Oh my
yeah.
gosh." It was the very
Oh.
heart-wrenching moment in the show. So
Hmm.
that part really like got me upset where I was just like, "Oh no, can I even finish this show now?"
Yeah, it's kind of like right away
Yeah. So I mean like if
you're
anyone's
like,
interested
oh,
in watching Madoka, it is a good watch. It's just prepared. It gets kind of dark. Like you don't expect it to in the very beginning, but it does. It just comes out of nowhere.
yeah, yeah.
But that is definitely a good show too. It's definitely one of the top ones there. And that really wraps up everything for today's show. So before I let you go, there's one last little game I play with my guests, which is like a little word association game. So I'm gonna give you out 5 words. Three are doll related. I guess you could say doll related words, and then 2 are just like totally random. And then I used to like at the beginning, I was like maybe I should put a time frame to it, but it doesn't really work that well. What I learned after a couple episodes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a word. You give me the very first thing that comes to the top of your head of that word, and then I'll give it like a little breathing room before we get to the next word. So at least we have time to like laugh about it or whatever,
Okay.
discuss it. But it's just for fun. I don't know. So here we go. You ready? So the
Hmm.
first word is going to be fabric.
Stitching.
Stitching. I guess from being someone that creates clothes a lot, you're just like, oh, do I have to stitch that? What kind of stitching am I gonna use? Am I gonna use cross stitch? Am I gonna use next word is fruits.
Bananas.
Bananas. Okay, bananas. The
There's some
next
bananas right over there on my table. So.
like fake ones or one that you're gonna actually eat
Yeah, little
later.
real ones.
And then the next word is buttons.
So on. Again, sewing is just like I'm just picturing a button and I'm just sewing it
Okay, and then next word is movies.
on. Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera. Ooh, it's a
One of
good
my
one.
favorite movies. So like one of
And
them.
then last word is pleats.
Miku.
Miku. Okay, awesome. Thank you for participating. I'm gonna do like a small little thing at the end of the season, whenever that's gonna be, and I'm gonna have people vote on some of their favorite answers that were given out during the show. And I don't know why, but I'm getting spam messages in our chat.
Oh no.
It doesn't happen all the time, but every now and then they kind of just come up. I don't know
That's
if
annoying.
I don't know if that means that I've made it or something, or that like spammers actually want to participate in the show. Like I don't know what's going on here. Um, so, anyways, yeah, thank you very much for participating in today's episode. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and sharing your knowledge on doll customization for either face ups and clothing, and just giving your take on what it's like being a doll YouTuber and trying to balance that doll life and real life. So thank you for coming onto the show. Like I said, I really appreciate it. I can't stress that enough, because we all have our own lives and we all have our own busy schedules, and the fact that you took the time out to come and talk with us today for a good, I think we're going on 2 hours and 15 minutes now. So pretty lengthy. So thank you again for, participating and being on today's show.
And thank you again for having me on the show.
Thank you. And thank you everybody in chat who came to watch this video live. Really appreciate you all being here. Before we let Diana go, is there any questions anybody wants to ask? If not, we are going to end it for the night. So I will give it like a couple seconds or so, because there's a little bit of a delay when people write things in chat. But if anyone has any questions before we end for the night, now would be the time. Let's see. We have Dude Abiding says, you're the best, Doll Fairy. Look at that.
Thank you, Dude Abiding.
And Rena Asion gives a whole bunch of hearts for you. So
thank you.
Any other commenters before we head out? No, looks like that's it for now. So again, thank you everybody for coming to watch the live stream, and for those of you that are watching this at a later date on the VODs, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. The next episode of Beyond the Doll, I think it's just going to be me, if I remember correctly, and I'll have a exciting topic for you guys to enjoy at that point. Our next guest, I'm not entirely sure when the next guest is going to be, because we're still working out scheduling. So I will let you guys know in the next one what it will, if we're going to have a guest. But that's it for now. Dia says, oh my, that's funny. All right, well, thank you, Dia. So that's everything for today's episode 13 of Beyond the Doll. I am your host, Shizusan, and my lovely assistant that was here for the very beginning and very end of the show is Chitose, and our lovely guest, Diana the Doll Fairy. Thank you for participating. And we will see you guys all in the next video. So bye for now. Take care.
Work is almost over, summer's getting closer. No time to be sober, sunshine on my shoulders. I'm alive and breathing, living my best life. Love is on my mind and it's making me high. I'm staying in this moment, though it's hard sometimes, but I work it out every once in a while. I feel the love, I feel it growing every day, I feel it.